Hi everyone, and welcome to the Thriving LDS Singles Podcast.
Hey everyone, this is just a quick little note or introduction to the final episode of the podcast where we did the interview with Lili. She has been amazing and a trooper. We talked for a very long time. So I broke it up into 3 parts, and actually it was so long that we ran out of disk space. So there's kind of a weird little hiccup where we switched to recording in the cloud, and that changes the view. But I think you will love the 3rd episode as much as the others. I hope you enjoy, and we'll get started on part 3. Thank you all.
So I remember talking to one husband who needed to do some repair of the relationship with his wife and restitution, and he didn't like the idea. And we looked at scriptures that talked about restitution, and he was like, well, that just seems kind of punitive, And I was like, when has God ever asked us to do anything that doesn't bless us? And he was like, you're right. He says, you're right. And I said, but don't tell your wife that's why you're doing it, because a little groveling would go a long way. So I mean, but yes, like, why would he ask you to do that if it were to beat you down or to make you less?
Hey,
it's to make you more.
Yes, and I want to circle you back. Were you going to finish your story? Because I've heard your story and I love that story. So you got to the poor woman hanging out on her back porch, and then what?
Thank you, Kay. You're paying attention. And I'm not. So she came in, and yes, she was concerned that she was losing her love for her husband, understandably. So I said, okay. And again, this was before I understood all the clarity now that I bring to the book, but the principles were there, and these were the way we applied them. This was the way we applied them. I said, why don't you get up every morning and wear something with pockets, and in your pockets, I want you to put your driver's license and a credit card and keys. Now, I said you could use the keys to get in the house, but let's not tussle over the doorknob. Plus, that's not really addressing the big issue. What I want you to do is to tell him that when you lock the door on me, you are breaking your covenants. And this is an offense to me and your children, and it's an offense toward God. So if you lock the door again, I'm going to take the kids. Oh, plus, in preparation, I said, pack an overnight bag for you and the kids and put it in your car right now. Like, do it as soon as you can. Extra rechargers, clothes, makeup, whatever, And I said, so you tell them, if you lock the door again, we're going to go and have a good time somewhere. Now, obviously, this is not about vengeance, and we were in Vegas at the time. So I was like, if you get the big suite at the Bellagio, that's vengeance. Get someplace decent, like nice, because they weren't impoverished. So they had a budget that could handle this, but go somewhere nice. And, in Vegas, everybody has multiple swimming suits. So put some swimming suits in there and go and enjoy the pools or the hot tubs, and, order pizza or go out to a buffet or something. Like, have a good time. Now, again, this isn't vengeance. This is not retaliatory. It's not punitive. It's about stop being a victim. Take responsibility and ownership for creating safety and non-victimhood for yourself and any minor children.
Yeah.
And so have a plan. And again, this has happened so many times. People have come to me and they've told me this sad story of continual harm, continual injury that has placed them in a victim role. And they'll tell me the most recent iteration and say, can you believe that happened? And I said, yeah, of course I can believe it. You just told me that this is a pattern. I said, so no offense, but you have no business being surprised anymore. Let's get past that. Now you need to be prepared. You need to take ownership for your part of the response. So and often it is an exit strategy, like get away from the situation and go somewhere safe and enjoyable. Again, if you feel like a refugee, that's not going to work.
Right.
You're still being victimized.
Yeah.
So make sure that you have some kind of preparatory plan. Like maybe you don't have the money for a hotel. So choose a friend or, someone in the ward that you can confide in and say, I may need a place to stay that I can feel safe and that can be pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, have my devices so I can watch a movie. I can, read. I can, chat with friends or whatever, but I'm not going to just feel like I'm trapped in this victim situation because I'm a grown up. And as a grown up, we can access resources and we may need help, but there are resources available for adults. Certainly the church often can help, doesn't always come through, but sometimes family, sometimes friends. If we have to, there are community resources and nonprofits or governmental resources that can help provide a safe place for us or some safe alternatives. Now, sometimes it involves money. And I've told a lot of women this over the years, because it's often women who are dependent on the husband's income, taking care of the kids or whatever, and they feel trapped. And I say, well, then what could you do to make money? Like if you need to get a degree or some kind of training that can be marketable, why don't you start thinking about that now? I'm not saying you have to file divorce papers. I'm saying look ahead and see what you can do to become financially independent. If you don't have other resources or family to depend on that can help you get through a tough time, start taking, it might be the long game, but let's play it and let's win. Let's make sure that you can be independent if you need to be, and that you won't be terrified of that so that you end up in a victim place and never change it. And plus, it's lousy modeling for our children.
Yeah.
To remain in a victim place. It's really, really not a good pattern to display to them because they tend to end up victims and victimizers themselves. Either they think that to be a good person, you have to be spit on, or getting what you want requires you to be a son of a gun. Mm-hmm. And that's a lousy place to put them as well. So if they see a parent go from a place of chronic harm to becoming an agent unto themselves, a non-victim Christian. And again, what does that term mean? It means that we're Christian because we care about what God thinks of us. So we don't want to become victimizers. We don't want to become vengeful or retaliatory or, just chronically angry. But we are non-victims. In other words, the short description is that we don't dish it out, but we don't take it either.
Right.
So we find, but we don't wait for the other person to change, because that is victimhood. If I just keep pleading with the other person, please, can you just come to Jesus, and can you just realize that this is a nasty way to treat me? By the way, this woman put those things in her pocket, and he never locked him out again, and he came into counseling. Now that's a pretty happy ending. Yeah. And because he was willing to work and address his own issues that he had grown up with that had made him have a bad temper, and so on. And he got a lot better, and the marriage continues today. I actually hear from some of their family every once in a while. So I'm happy to say it's decades later, and it didn't destroy the.
Has something to do with my disk space. Now recording in the cloud. It'll be a little bit different because it changes the view. It only records on the focused one, but we can continue. We've just barely scratched the surface, as you know. So there's so many more things we can say.
Well, maybe we can do more focused ones in future.
Yeah, well, I would love to have Lili back on lots of times, but I know she's time constrained.
I want to do one. I want to do one of like, how do you raise that many children, grandchildren? Like, I want to do that.
Kay has
best thing ever. Best thing ever.
Kids. So,
because these days people do struggle a lot for understandable reasons, but honestly, permissiveness is death. And that has been maybe the single greatest disaster.
But being the parent of adult children, I'm finding way harder than being the parent of.
It's different. It has to be different, and sometimes we're not prepared for the difference.
And it has to be different, but it's when they're under your roof as children, you're sort of a bit more of a coherent group.
Sure.
And now, of course, they've gone off and made their own units, which means that there's the in-laws, children, and the parent, and then there's and they're making different decisions. And so now I have, because I've also got 8 children, I've now got 8 in 8 different directions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I think we have to adjust our expectations, because I think we all, well, not we all, but many grew up with those intergenerational reunion pictures where everybody was having a great time. And it's much more likely these days that one of our kids marries somebody difficult, and maybe more than one. And those more difficult in-laws create problems for that family cohesion. And they sometimes, I've talked with some and I said, you know what? I don't know that you should include those people in the reunion anymore. If you have some others that want to get together and have a good time, but this one always causes fights, or this one complains endlessly about the family or somebody, whatever, then you know what? You may have to restructure that. And you offer yourself singly to that person. But I think we just kind of have to change that expectation that the generations just bring harmony at a greater scale, because in lived experience, that's less likely than ever. Now, I have to say, our family gets along pretty well. We have one person who is a little trickier for the others to deal with sometimes. They're pretty good about it. But anyway, it has been, we have been very fortunate that way, that we haven't had too much obstruction. But that doesn't mean we haven't had to let go of some expectations or, whatever. And honestly, I decided I'm not competing with in-laws. There's no way. And some of the in-law families in our case have lots of money. So I'm like, we can't just take you all to Hawaii. We can't just take you all on a cruise. That's not going to be in our bandwidth. But that's okay. We'll, if I continue to listen and validate, but not endorse behaviors that I don't believe in, but I can certainly validate their pain or their situation, then they'll come to me when they need to. Yeah. My door will be open, but I won't expect or demand, because at some point they do have to leave the mothership. And sometimes in Utah, as you know, David, that's a disaster where people will not let go of their kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to be here for Christmas. You have to be here for this or whatever. And I'm like, seriously? When are you going to let go and let them have their own experience and family?
Yeah, there's a couple things that you've said that are the expectation factor was transformative for me. In my opinion, that was part of the demise of my marriage relationship, is I had certain expectations, and in the name of righteousness, I thought I was justified in having those, when what they did is they removed the other person's agency, and the outcomes, if they weren't what I thought they should be, the only person suffering was me, because of the expectation. So by removing that, it truly changed the relationship, even to the point where, even in divorce, we have a fantastic relationship with each other, because I see her differently than I used to. And then the other factor too was, it's slipping my tongue. I was at a Come Follow Me family home evening, and this dear sister was talking, and she was saying how she has so much love for her kids, and was so frustrated that between them and the in-laws, that why are people turning against me? Why are they not loving me back? And I've given them and sacrificed so much. And then the Lord said something to her, and she's like, "Did you really think everybody would love you?" And coming from him, yeah, well, there's a lot of truth to that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that plays into the expectation factor as well.
I agree. And there's a formula that has been floated around every once in a while. H equals R minus E. H equals R minus E. Happiness is reality minus expectations. So if you know covariation in mathematics, remember there's a constant, and then the other two values covary. One is up, the other is down. So the constant is reality, and the variables are the expectations and happiness. And if the expectations are high, happiness tends to be lower. And if we can moderate our expectations, our happiness typically increases. And that, again, is not expecting anybody else to change, which is a big thing about boundaries. I can kind of wind this thing. I want to kind of finish the arc of the boundaries, even though, in the book, of course, once I explain the model and talk about kind of the steps to using a more clear understanding of charity to create personal safety and safety for any of our minor children that must be included in our safety plan, because children cannot make themselves safe. They are too dependent on adults. So I often refer to, is it Matthew 17 or 18? I forget, but that says the famous one about millstones and large bodies of water, that anyone who hurts one of my little ones that believes in me, better than a millstone be hung about their necks and they be drowned in the depths of the sea. And that is not because it's okay to hurt adults. It's because adults have access to resources and children don't. So that's why Christ is making the distinction. Children cannot become non-victims without help.
Right.
Adults can. So, and it may be hard for the adults, but we can keep pursuing paths that can ultimately lead us to safety. So at any rate, we include our minor children. And then I apply it to marriage, and I apply it to intimacy in marriage, and I apply it to teaching our children to be non-victims. I apply it to not being victimized by our children. And I apply it to extended family relationships, or, grown children and our own parents and things like that can sometimes be difficult relationships. And then I apply it to church service, because we can become victims to our misconceptions about church service, and we can put the wrong things first sometimes. And don't get me wrong, I am all in favor of making appropriate sacrifice in service, but God wants us to do things in wisdom and order and not run faster than we have strength. And we often mistake that. And sometimes then our families, our marriages suffer. Too many people stay married, but they're not really becoming one. And then they retire and they don't have much of a relationship. And often those people were great at church service. It's kind of like, but which service do you think God really wanted you to focus on? Maybe it was on building your relationship, or, connecting with your children or whatever. So then
just real quick, it's interesting that in last week's Come Follow Me, one of the things was talking about obedience is better than sacrifice. I think sometimes in the name of sacrifice, thinking we're doing the right thing, we're not listening, we're not obeying to the real voice we should be listening to. So some things that shouldn't be sacrificed are being sacrificed. So it's
I
important.
so agree with that. I've always loved that Samuel to Saul moment, which is really, really a sobering moment, because we do so much appreciate and sometimes kind of glorify sacrifice, which has its place. Again, it has its place, but in wisdom and in order, because it's actually easier to be a bishop that is much loved by his ward than to be a husband. Being a husband is harder. Being a really good father is harder than being a bishop or a stake president or a Relief Society president or a Sunday school teacher that everybody loves, or a primary teacher where the kids are pretty easy to satisfy. Well, some kids are. Anyway, it's sometimes so yes. And plus, a lot of us would rather sacrifice. It's like, honestly, I'd pay 15% tithing as long as I don't have to forgive my neighbor or whatever, It's like, that's not, or I'll go to the temple all the time, but I won't address these, issues that I still need to repair or grow in or repent of or whatever. So I totally agree. And that's a wonderful tie-in. My point then at the end of the book is that now let's come full circle and talk about true charity. How if we have become non-victim Christians, we can become channels for Christ's love. We can truly love people and not enable them. And yet we don't have to overcompensate and become hard-nosed, so to speak, or I could use a more difficult term, but we don't have to become people who like, fine, I'll never give to anybody. I'll never trust anybody. I'll never, you know what I mean? Some people who have been victimized go too far. And now they're on the other end and they're tough. They're tough, or they're sort of hard-hearted or bitter. And it's like, no, what we really want is to become charitable. Because as Paul says, I could have this and that and speak with the tongue of angels, and if I have not charity, I'm as tinkling cymbals and sounding brass. Like, I'm nothing without charity. So this is the path to charity. It's to understand it, utilize it to create safety, and then become a light and love to the world and to those particularly that we come in contact with, without inappropriate vulnerability, without and so many times I hear these wonderful people, good people, who hear the prophets talk about love your enemies, as we have heard recently from President Oaks, or be peacemakers, or forgive, and they wince. It makes them hurt, because they're like, I want to do it. I want to do those things. I'm not sure I can, because they don't understand charity. They don't understand how to be non-victim Christians. So that's what the book is about.
That's great.
That's awesome. Yes, and I can't wait for the book. I've been waiting for it for a long time, as Lili knows.
I mean, so slowly. I've had a lot of crashes since I lost my husband. And God has, I've many times asked him if he wanted somebody else to write the book.
Oh.
It's okay, it's all your information. This is the gospel, so I'm not taking ownership of it. But if you want somebody else to write it, please do. But apparently I get to do it. And I'm so grateful to be at this stage. I'm asking for a little bit more grace to get these revisions done in a timely way. And then hopefully it can go out soon. I appreciate the patience a lot of people have shown, because I've been talking about this for decades, and I know it's a long time coming.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things I know we need to wrap up, but with things we didn't touch on that maybe we can find in other episodes on the podcast, like I said at the beginning, I really got a lot of benefit from understanding your guidance or direction to ecclesiastical leaders going when it comes to things like, because we hear it all the time. Bishops will say, you just need to go to the temple more and pray about it, or you just need to forgive. And that has really messed a lot of people up.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And I mean, God bless all people who serve like that, because I know it's a tough gig, but we can do better. The gospel is better. And I would say this to anyone who has been hurt by what they understand to be doctrine, or hurt by church leaders, please go further than that, because God does not give us counsel that destroys. It's counsel that grows us, that heals us. It helps us to become that non-victim Christian. It helps us to become anti-fragile. It helps us to become powerful. It helps us to become fit for the kingdom. And it doesn't matter if you're single or you're married. It doesn't matter. God has told us salvation is individual. Exaltation, yes, will be with a partner, which many people will find during the millennium. So you're not counted out. You're not disregarded by God. Like, again, what kind of a God would that be? Right. Like, he's got enough people who are covenant keepers. So he doesn't have to worry about the single ones. Like, are you kidding? like straight as the gate, narrow as the way, few there be that find it. Like, there's room, and his desire for each of us is immeasurable. He's not doing anything that counts us out.
Well, I think that's wonderful to focus on, and to have that as he's not counting anybody out. We're all on the path, and as long as we're
precious to him. We're
precious. And I hope that every single person here gets that message, because we're so in need of that, to hearing that. So thank you so much.
World. It's a cold planet. We do need to tie into the warmth, tie into that love. Feel it every single day, many times. Look at sparrows. I have pictures of sparrows from all over the world.
I think that's a wonderful, because you're right. They're everywhere. You just ignore it. They're under every chair that you've got a crumb under. And yet they want to, yes, God actually mentions them in the scriptures. So
he loves them. He loves them. And how much more does he love us?
Yeah.
So if we're not feeling it, I'd say this a lot of times. There's a great statement by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle made through his character Sherlock Holmes. And, I was trying to communicate this for years to clients and classes that I taught and so on. And I would say the meaning, but it is so much more elegantly said by the character Sherlock Holmes. Here it is. He says, if you eliminate the impossible, whatever's left, however improbable, must be the truth. I'm going to say it again. If you eliminate the impossible, whatever's left, however improbable, must be the truth. So I use that when I'm talking about God's love. I'm like, it is impossible that God does not love you. That would be a violation of his being, his character.
Who ceased to be God.
he would cease to be God. He would be a liar and a fraud and a charlatan. And the worst. He is all goodness. He is all love. And he loves each of us individually. We are, as I said, precious to him. We are the jewels with which he will make up his crown. So we are so important to him. It is impossible that he doesn't love us. So if we eliminate that, whatever's left must be the truth. He does love us. He is mindful of us. He knows us better than we know ourselves and wants all the good. Now, it's going to take time, because to get from dust to glory, like, that is a journey. So we want it to be over like that. Can I just be now with you? Well, he's like, yeah, but it's going to take a few experiences. It's going to take some growth. It's going to take some time in the weight room. It's going to take some standing against the current. It's going to take some being lonely, feeling abandoned, even in the kingdom. Like, you're going to feel alone. Sometimes in sacrament meetings, sometimes just in the way you keep your standards, whatever. You're going to feel alone. That's part of it. The Savior felt alone. Mormon felt alone. Nephi felt, come on, everybody felt alone. So like if we eliminate the impossible, whatever's left is the truth. He loves us. So if we're not feeling it, we need to learn to feel it. Now, again, this is not blaming the victim. A lot of us get hurt. We get hurt badly. Sometimes it started in our youth. So we have insecurity growing up and we feel unlovable. But that can be healed. And Christ is the healer. So part of that is to trust that it's a leap of faith. We say that term all the time, right? It's a leap of faith. I'm going to believe that it's impossible that he doesn't love me. So I'm going to believe he loves me. So I'm going to learn the language of love. I'm going to learn to feel it. If it means that I'm looking at sparrows everywhere and remembering and tying it in and trusting. And yes, we shouldn't be vulnerable with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, or Jill and Susan either. But we definitely can be vulnerable with God. Because either he is God or he isn't. And brothers and sisters, he is.
Well, thank you so much. That's just been, it has been riveting. Like, we've sat here for ages listening, because this is just like fantastic.
The scary thing is, as you know, I can go on forever. So we're
yeah. Well, and we look forward to your book. So the one that's out right now, Choosing Glory, is available. And then there's
on my website only right now. I sold it in different places before, but now, unless you want, it's also an audiobook, and it's available on Kindle. But the hard copy is available on my website, lilyanderson.com.
Okay. Kindle, guys, go for audiobook. It's easy. Listen.
And I'll try and find as many podcasts that I think are relevant, or that we didn't quite get to touch on, or that enhance what we have talked on as possible. And Lily's speaking at the Mid-Singles Conference in Provo. Is it next week or the week after? 2 weeks, right?
Didn't we look it up? Well, we're 28th. It's the June 28th. It's the Sunday fireside. Yeah. And right now it's scheduled for the Alpine Tabernacle, and they have some overflow areas, so they should be able to accommodate. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being with that group again.
And come to Brisbane.
Yes.
I would love to see that.
We will be happy to host you.
I'll host you. Yep.
Maybe in the millennium.
You do.
Before
all right.
Take care.
So thank you for being here, Lily, and for talking to us. Thank you, David, for being part, and thank you, Kim, my co-host. It was wonderful to have you all here.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Lily, it's been a pleasure. This is a very good first introduction to get to know you. So glad to be part of it, very much so.
Fun for me too.
Okay, we'll see you guys later.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Take care. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Lily. Bye.